Good morning. President Trump has launched an attack on the UK, an extraordinary attack, over the decision to hand sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. He's posted this on Truth Social and he's called it an act of great stupidity. He also stepped up his rhetoric on Greenland, again saying America has to have it and accusing Denmark of being unable to protect it. He's leaving the US for Davos later today for the World Economic Forum, where European leaders will be hoping to influence a president who is so far showing no signs of backing down. Well, let's look at the astonishing statement that he made relating to the UK and in particular those Chagos Islands. So he said, shockingly, our brilliant NATO ally, the United Kingdom, is currently planning to give away the Island of Diego Garcia, the site of a vital US military base, to Mauritius, and to do so for no reason whatsoever. There is no doubt that China and Russia has noticed this act of total weakness. These are international powers who only recognise strength, which is why the United States of America, under my leadership, is now, after only 1 year, respected like never before. The UK giving away extremely important land is an act of great stupidity, capitalise, and is another in a very long line of national security reasons why Greenland has to be acquired. And then he continues, Denmark and its European allies have to do the right thing. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And he signs it off, President Donald J. Trump. Well, here is the take of our US correspondent, Mark Stone.
Diego Garcia is part of the Chagos Islands, and mid-year last year, the United Kingdom made a controversial decision, but a decision nonetheless, to hand sovereignty of the Chagos Islands back to Mauritius, and that, of course, included Diego Garcia. Now, the reason that the president the reason that America in general over the past year has been exercised about this is because Diego Garcia is a very important, strategically important military base for the United States, as it is for the United Kingdom. But as part of the deal to hand sovereignty back to Mauritius, a 99-year lease was put in place for Diego Garcia precisely so that the Americans and the British would be able still to operate there and effectively to run it for themselves. So that's the first point. But the second point is all this was done and dusted. And mid-year last year, I think it was May last year, it was something the Americans were really worried, the Brits were really worried about. Would the Americans have a problem with the whole issue of Diego Garcia and the Chagos? And mid-year last year, Trump was president, there was no problem. And yet suddenly, and look, the way you read that, and I'm only just reading it now as we speak as well, the sort of vibe and the tone of Trump's statement, which was, 15 minutes ago he released this, almost is as if he's only just discovered that this is happening. It's extraordinary. But look, Sophie Wilf, the broader point is that, I was saying a day ago that it feels as though the wheels are truly coming off the transatlantic alliance, whether that be with the UK or with the European Union. But for the UK, the special relationship, I mean, it's in a really bad way right now. And remember that Keir Starmer, he's worked so hard and has had some success, no question, at trying to be the Trump whisperer, trying to be the guy who is able to be almost the bridge from Europe to America under Trump, to try and work out what on earth is going on. Right now, that feels like a very tricky place that Keir Starmer is in.
A tricky place, indeed, as Mark Stone just outlining. We did have a representative from the government just moments really after that news broke on the Chagos Islands. This is what the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, Darren Jones, had to say.
We've gone around this quite a lot already. We've secured the islands there as a military base for the next 100 years. We're just about finishing off the legislative process in Parliament to enable that to happen. And I think, as your colleague alluded to, this was a deal that was welcomed at the time by the American administration, but also by European allies and others, given its strategic significance in the world. We were in a tricky spot in that the island was previously part of the British Empire. There were legal challenges to the island and those types of things. And so we needed to find a modern application to protect its military capabilities, which we all rely on, which is what we've done.
Well, we mentioned that Donald Trump's been doubling down on his ambition to control Greenland overnight, telling journalists that America has to have it. Let's have a listen to the president speaking just shortly before the programme.
We have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property. So we'll be talking about it with the various people. We've had tremendous success, and I've done more for NATO than anybody else. I don't think you'd have NATO right now. I got them to go 5% and pay as opposed to 2% and not pay. I've done more than any other American president for NATO by far.
Well, let's discuss all of this. Alex is here to discuss the sort of domestic political implications of it. I mean, there's the embarrassment of being conciliatory to the president 24 hours ago and having this broadside on the Chagos Islands to come. I think there's another nuance. On Greenland, pretty much everyone in Parliament, just regardless of political party, was agreed with the Prime Minister that we needed to push back on what Donald Trump was doing, whereas this Chagos thing will really lead to a lot of people saying, I kind of agree with President Trump on this.
Yeah, Chagos is much more difficult for Keir Starmer domestically. The Tories have called it an act of surrender, but the UK has been ploughing on with it. And I think part of their argument for doing that was that the White House seemed to be OK with it just in May. And now all of a sudden Trump's coming out and saying it's an act of stupidity. It's really, I think, will have caught Keir Starmer off guard.
It's confusing, isn't it? Because, I mean, that's kind of what Peter Westbrook was saying to you as well. I mean, it felt like this was something the Americans were on board with, right?
But I think this is just another kind of example of Donald Trump just trying to get us into line, basically. And we're not doing it, so he's going to cause more embarrassment for us. Yeah.
I think it's another example of how hard it is now to deal with the US as an ally. If, those details are accurate, to U-turn in such a big way makes it, even impossible to deal with. What about just the domestic politics of all of this? The approach the Prime Minister took yesterday and the thanks for it he's getting from the US President?
So I thought it was interesting when Darren Jones was on just shortly, he was saying that calm British diplomacy was the right way forward. And that seemed to be what Keir Starmer was trying to do yesterday, really trying to de-escalate the row. But I think with Greenland and Trump's continuing threats with that, and now with this Chagos intervention, I'm not sure calm discussion is really on the menu at the moment.
Yeah, this is what it feels like, isn't it? And I have to say, you look at the Donald Trump Truth Social post, his big thing is strength is what people respect. And he's talking there about, China and Russia, but you could also say the same as the United States as well, right? Well,
for sure. I mean, it's he's definitely linking the Greenland point to this. There's no doubt about that. It's why some people are calling for, more military spending and the like here. Do you think he has to go to Davos now, the Prime Minister? Is he likely to U-turn? I mean, it'd be such a story to U-turn now after this that I guess he probably won't. But it's impossible. We're all up and no idea what he's going to do.
I guess maybe putting up a brave face might be a good thing, because if he's not there, maybe he's in the background on the back foot, and that's really not an image he wants to project at the moment, even though that's kind of where Donald Trump is forcing him to be.
Which, by the way, is not just so much of being not there whilst his European peers are there. He's not there whilst Nigel Farage is. Yeah. I think that's really the key point.
And Chagos has provided Nigel Farage with another opportunity to have a go and hit the government where they're vulnerable. Yeah,
it's totally true. Alex, thank you so much. Alex Rogers there with that analysis.